On today's episode of The Franchise, April 27th, and today we have the final NFL mock draft. Today is draft day, so I am here to give out my full first round NFL mock draft. We've done 8 previous mock drafts, and this is the final official one, the one where I hope to get all 31 first round picks correct. Before we get into the episode, you can watch or listen to The Franchise, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. You can find the Twitter, TikTok, Instagram in the description of every single episode. All right, final mock draft. Now, what would be awesome is if I get all 31 picks correct. That's probably not going to happen. This one does have trades, this mock draft. I was kicking around at not having any trades. Decided to have trades in here. I won't be able to get all 31 correct because there's going to be a lot of trades that you don't predict. The goal is to get 10 out of the 31 picks correct tonight. All right, let's get into it. Number 1 overall, Carolina Panthers. They're going to select Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. I think this one's been a lock for like 4 weeks. It's all been pretty much set that Bryce Young is going to be the first quarterback taken and the number 1 overall pick by the Panthers. He was the best college quarterback. He's the best quarterback in this draft class. And ignoring his height and weight, he really is he is the best quarterback in this draft. His arm, his arm is not as strong as a Richardson or a Levis, but he's very accurate. He's very mobile. When you just watch the film, ignoring his height and weight, he clearly is the best quarterback in this draft class. Number 2, Houston Texans. I thought about them taking a CJ Stroud because it makes sense for them to actually draft a quarterback. However, I'm going to go with them taking Will Anderson Jr., the edge rusher from Alabama. I think when you look at this new coaching staff here, especially with their head coach, a defensive head coach coming over from San Francisco, they're going to want a defensive anchor here for DeMeco Ryans as the head coach. And they definitely do need a quarterback. Like, they could take a Stroud or a Levis, maybe even an Anthony Richardson probably later on with their second first-round pick. I just think they only like Bryce Young. So if Young is not available here at 2, which I highly doubt he will be here, then I think they pivot and they go defense and they take Will Anderson Jr. Number 3, I have a trade here. I have the Cardinals trading. I think the Cardinals will trade or not trade depending on if CJ Stroud is there. If CJ Stroud is taken number 2, the Cardinals will sit at 3 and they will take Paris Johnson Jr. However, if the Texans go defensive player or they go Will Levis or something like that, you're going to see a team jump up to 3 with them. And in this one right here, this trade, I have the Tennessee Titans seeing CJ Stroud available and jumping up from 11 to 3 and selecting CJ Stroud. I don't think they should draft a quarterback here in this draft. Unless it's CJ Stroud. No Will Levis, no Anthony Richardson. Unless it's CJ Stroud, they need to address the other positions of need. Offensive line, wide receiver. Those are the positions of need that they need to address outside of quarterback. But Stroud is sitting here at 3. I think they're going to jump to the opportunity to have him here, and they're going to select him number 3. Number 4 is the Colts. I have them taking Will Levis out of Kentucky. He's currently the favorite, or he was the favorite to go number 2. Has shifted down. He's the 3rd overall favorite to go number 2. I don't think he goes to Houston. I don't think if CJ Stroud's available, he is definitely not going before CJ Stroud. So the Colts here, between Levis and Richardson, I think they go with Levis. He's probably more ready to play than Richardson at this point, and Levis fits what the Colts are looking for. You know, Levis is pretty athletic. He's pretty mobile. I know their head coach for the Colts had Jalen Hurts last year when he was the offensive coordinator. So you're looking at a mobile quarterback that can also throw the ball, but is able to, run the ball if needed and move around in the pocket, and that is Will Levis. It's not Anthony Richardson. I mean, Anthony Richardson possesses those abilities, but Will Levis is that too, and I think they go with him here. He is more pro-ready, ready to play at this moment than Anthony Richardson. Number 5 is the Seahawks. Anthony Richardson is here on the board, and it does make sense for them to take him here. However, I think they go with a need and the best player on the board available, and that is Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Ignoring the off-the-field issues, this is the best defensive player in the draft class, and Seattle could use a guy in the middle of the defensive line to get after these quarterbacks in the NFC West and really help bolster that pass rush for Seattle. Number 6 is the Detroit Lions. I think if a Will Anderson Jr. is here or potentially Jalen Carter, they will select either of those two. However, they're both gone here in this mock draft, so I have them taking the number 1 overall corner in this draft, and that is Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. They traded away Jeff Okudah, and you look at the rest of their secondary, in particular the corners, they added some guys in the offseason, but they needed a long-term solution, a very young product to that defense in that secondary, and that's going to be Devon Witherspoon, who is an absolutely physical corner. Number 7 is the Raiders. Now, if Witherspoon is here at 7, they will take him. No question about it. But with him being gone, there's a few ways they go. They could take an Anthony Richardson. They could go defense, Tyree Wilson. I have them, or Christian Gonzalez at corner is still on the board. I have them taking offensive line, and it's not Paris Johnson. It's going to be Broderick Jones out of Georgia. This guy's a very, very, very good offensive lineman. These offensive tackles and these offensive linemen that are projected to be first round between Paris Johnson, Broderick Jones, Peter Skoronski, and Darnell Wright, those guys are going to go fairly early in this draft, and I think the Raiders trying to get some protection for Jimmy Garoppolo and to help establish their running game with Josh Jacobs. I think they should go defense. I think they need to go secondary, but I also think offensive line is right up there, like 1A or 1B in terms of team needs for the Raiders. Number 8 is the Falcons. This is a spot where you could see a team potentially trade in and draft Anthony Richardson. However, I think he's really going to slide in tonight's draft. So Falcons sitting here. Tyree Wilson's on the board. Paris Johnson, Myles Murphy. There's a lot of guys available. Christian Gonzalez, the corner out of Oregon. I have them taking Bijan Robinson. That is the odds-on favorite right now to go to Atlanta at 8. Pairing him with Kyle Pitts and Drake London on that offense for Desmond Ridder is a very nice skill position group in Atlanta. Number 9, Chicago Bears. I think they go there's 2 avenues they go here. Defense, defensive line in particular, or offensive line. Tyree Wilson's on the board. I think they pass on him. If Jalen Carter was here, or obviously if Will Anderson Jr. was here, they're taking that guy. I have them going Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle out of Ohio State. This guy right here can go as early as 3 if Arizona does not trade out, but I have them trading out here. I think they go Paris Johnson Jr. for the Bears. Need some protection for Justin Fields and that revamped offense here in Chicago. Number 10 is the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a prime trade out spot right here, especially with Anthony Richardson on the board and all of the receivers still available. There's a lot of players available right here at this spot that if you're a team, I don't know what team exactly. I don't know what team's trying to trade up, but if you're a team in the low end of the 20s, or you're the Steelers or the Lions or the Bucks or the Seahawks with their 20th pick, they could definitely move up in here to the top 10. This is a very intriguing pick. I have the Eagles staying put, though. I think they're going to add a very impactful player here in Tyree Wilson to their defensive line, a defensive line that they just keep adding to every single season. All right, number 11 is the Cardinals after making a trade with the Titans. If Paris Johnson Jr. is here at 11, they will gladly take him because they could have taken him at 3, and instead they get him here at 11. But he's off the board. I don't think they go with a Skoronski or a Darnell Wright, 2 other offensive linemen here on the board. They're not going receiver, And, they could go corner, Christian Gonzalez. However, I think they go pass rush, and I think they take Myles Murphy out of Clemson, a very big, physical, power rusher on the outside. I think the reason for him over a guy like Nolan Smith or a Lucas Van Ness, and Nolan Smith in particular, is Myles Murphy is a lot bigger and a lot stronger than Nolan Smith. And for Arizona, they need someone to help rush the passer in this division. All right, number 12 is the Texans. Anthony Richardson is here. They need a quarterback. Do they go quarterback here? I don't think they do. They could double dip and go another defensive player, Christian Gonzalez, Nolan Smith, Joey Porter Jr., and a lot of defensive guys here that they could take. Ultimately, I have them taking Jackson Smith-Njigba, the wide receiver from Ohio State. I think he's easily the best wide receiver in this draft. And, they're going to most likely roll out next season, as of now, with Davis Mills at quarterback. Now, who knows? Maybe they go and trade for Trey Lance or Mac Jones. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba here, the Texans are going to be bad again next season. So they have an opportunity next year to draft a Drake May or Caleb Williams if they're bad enough. And, they could definitely trade up in next year's draft. And I know it's a long ways away to look ahead to next year and say draft a quarterback then. But outside of Bryce Young for Houston, I don't think they are going to reach on any of these guys. And I know Anthony Richardson's potential is about as high as it can possibly get among any player in this draft. But I think here for Houston, the wide receiver room is completely open. Robert Woods is the wide receiver 1. You already got your defensive star. You could definitely add another guy here. But I'm going to go Jackson Smith-Njigba. 13, Green Bay Packers. It definitely would make sense to me if they go offensive line or defensive line. It would not surprise me if they don't take a tight end or a wide receiver here with their first-round pick. They haven't taken a skill position player since the early 2000s. And, Peter Skoronski, Darnell Wright, those guys are there. Nolan Smith, Lucas Van Ness. There's a lot of offensive and defensive linemen here available at this pick. Ultimately, I think they have to, and I think they will take a skill position player, and that's going to be Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. The best tight end in the class, a pass catcher, a nice threat up the middle of the field for Jordan Love. If Jackson Smith-Njigba was here at 13, I think he's the guy that they could take too. So I have him going Dalton Kincaid, but it would not surprise me if they go offensive or defensive line. 14 is the Patriots. This is another spot where I could see them trading out. The Patriots are prime candidates every year to trade their pick, whether it's up or down. More often than not, they're trading out. But here, they could go wide receiver. It would not surprise me if they take Zay Flowers or Jordan Addison or one of those guys. But Christian Gonzalez is sitting here at 14, a guy who is the second best corner in this draft, ranked in the top 10, falls all the way here to 14. Patriots could use a corner, and I'm going to have them taking Christian Gonzalez here. 15 is the Jets, Peter Skoronski, out of Northwestern, the offensive tackle. They either can move him to guard or they can play him on the outside, but they're going to get protection for Aaron Rodgers if an offensive lineman is available here in this draft. If there's no offensive lineman available by 15 for the Jets, I think you're looking at a prime pass rusher here. In either Nolan Smith, Lucas Van Ness, one of those guys is going to get picked here if it's not an offensive lineman. 16 to Washington. Deonte Banks, the corner out of Maryland. This guy is a very strong physical corner. And for Washington, they need help in that secondary. They could take an offensive player. They really could. A tight end. If Kincaid is here, they could go with him. But I think they need to address the defense, in particular the secondary. 17 is the Steelers. This is a team that could definitely trade up. It would not surprise me if they traded up a few spots here to ensure and secure that they get an offensive lineman. However, Darnell Wright falls to them here, and they're going to take the best offensive lineman available if there is one with a first-round grade, because they need to protect the quarterback and they need to help establish a running game here in Pittsburgh. Number 18, Lions are up again, and they're going to go Nolan Smith out of Georgia, the edge rusher. This guy's only 230 pounds as an edge rusher, which is very light to be on the defensive line. However, his skill set is similar to Hassan Reddick of the Eagles. And for the Lions, you got to go best player available here. And, that could be, if Bijan Robinson falls, that could be him. They could take a Lucas Van Ness, the other edge rusher. They could even go tight end. However, I think they need to address the defense, a defense that was ranked the worst in the NFL last season. You already got Devon Witherspoon to protect the secondary on the outside. Why not get somebody to rush the quarterback in your division and establish a very dominant defense here with Nolan Smith? 19-2 Tampa. Anthony Richardson is sitting right here, and it would not surprise me at all if they'd take him here at 19. I think, though, they're going to be a very bad football team next season with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask playing quarterback, a banged-up offensive line, a secondary that's lost a lot of people. I think they'll go Lucas Van Ness, the edge out of Iowa. They could trade up. They could trade down. This is a spot where they could literally take any player on the board. They could go wide receiver. They could go corner, defensive back, linebacker, edge, offensive line, or quarterback. Any of those picks are possible here with Tampa at 19. All right, Seattle's up again with number 20, and Anthony Richardson has fallen all the way to them here at 20. If this happens, that is an absolutely great move here for Seattle. I don't know if it's going to happen. It definitely wouldn't surprise me if Richardson falls, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes in the top 10. He falls here in this mock, and Seattle picks him up as the quarterback for the future, sits behind Geno Smith for a year, and then takes over next season. Chargers 21. Tight end is a possibility. Defensive line, in particular, up the middle for the defensive line is a possibility. But let's add Zay Flowers, the wide receiver from Boston College. Lots of speed, lots of versatility here outside for Zay Flowers, whether he's playing outside or in the slot. Look, Keenan Allen has been a very injured wide receiver over the last few years. He's not also one of the fastest guys. And then Mike Williams is a great ball catcher. But you need to add a nice young wide receiver here for Justin Herbert. And why not go get Zay Flowers? Number 22 to the Baltimore Ravens. Wide receiver is definitely in play here. However, you added Odell Beckham Jr., you have Rashad Bateman. I think you brought in Nelson Aguilar in the offseason. And there's still the potential of DeAndre Hopkins being traded to the Ravens. And I think, look, DeAndre Hopkins is going to be traded to either the Chiefs, the Bills, or the Ravens by tonight, by the draft. So, if he goes to Baltimore, if the Ravens get him or not, I think they're going to go corner here. And Joey Porter Jr. has fallen to 22 here to Baltimore, and that is a great value pickup. You could argue he's the second or third best corner in the draft, and the Ravens get him all the way here at 22. All right, Minnesota's at 23. This is a team that could trade up. If they see Richardson slide, they could trade up with a team, the Lions, the Commanders, the Patriots even, and secure themselves Anthony Richardson. However, they could use a wide receiver next to Justin Jefferson. They really could. Their wide receiver 2 right now is what's his name? Oh my goodness. Jalen Reagor, former wide receiver for the Eagles. So I have them taking Jordan Addison here out of USC to pair with Justin Jefferson. And if Jordan Addison pans out in the NFL, you have one of the best wide receiver duos out there in Minnesota. 24, Jacksonville. Brian Branch, the defensive back out of Bama. Tight end is in play for them too. But they need to address either a corner or a safety here with their first round pick. And Brian Branch here is the perfect player available at 24. 25, New York Giants. Wide receivers in play, however, they could definitely use some help on the outside of the secondary, in particular the corners. This is a guy that we have not mentioned in the first round until today, and that is Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State. This is the first time he's made a first-round mock for us. He's 166 pounds. He's a very small frame, lightweight corner, but he's a physical, he's an on-ball corner, and he's one of the best in this draft class that could sneak into the first round. I think New York takes a chance on him here at 25. 26, Dallas Cowboys. they're taking a tight end here. Whether it's Kincaid or Mayer, in this case, it's going to be Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. 6'4", 251 pounds. This guy's very big. He's going to be able to get up in the middle of the field for Dak Prescott and also help out Tony Pollard in the running game. 27, Buffalo Bills. If they're in the mix for DeAndre Hopkins. I think, though, Quentin Johnston, Jalen Hyatt, they're both here, but they could also use someone in that offensive line. And Anton Harrison here from Oklahoma is sitting right there. He's easily the best offensive tackle remaining here on the board. You can either move him to guard or you can play him on the outside, and Buffalo will take him here. 28 is the Bengals. Corner, edge rusher, tight end, all in play. They're going to go Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. A very explosive player. He's able to build up a lot of momentum on his rushes. He's a very quick quick pass rusher. Once the ball is snapped, this is a perfect fit here for Cincinnati. Help beef up that pass rush for them. 29 Saints. This is a team that could trade up. They could definitely trade up. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up and secure a tight end like a Dalton Kincaid or a Meyer. This is a team that could really use a tight end. However, they sit here at 29, and they take Brian Bresee, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. Out of Clemson. They could help, rebuild that defense. Cam Jordan not going to be there much longer. Whether it's a corner or, in this case, a defensive tackle or an edge rusher, I think a defensive player is where the Saints should go here. All right, 2 more picks. Number 30 is the Eagles with their second first-round pick. At 10, we haven't taken Tyree Wilson, so that kind of eliminates any edge rusher here. Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama is sitting here as a possible running back that they select. But I think they go corner. I think they go Keel Ringo out of Georgia. This guy's, he's 6'1", but he's a very physical player. He's very aggressive. And he's even there, in run support. So he's not just a pass support corner. He can get after the run, too, if needed. And he's going to go here, number 30 to the Eagles. Number 31, final pick of the first round, Kansas City Chiefs. They could definitely get DeAndre Hopkins, and it would not surprise me. But even if they do, I think a wide receiver is still in play, and I think Quentin Johnston here from TCU at 31 is great value. A nice down-the-field, deep ball threat here for Patrick Mahomes. He had a lot of drop balls last season, but he had 33 catches for 634 yards. And if he's paired with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to get a lot of catches at the NFL level. Whether he's with DeAndre Hopkins or not, I think he goes here to the Chiefs at 31. Jalen Hyatt's here. I think he's going to go in the second round at the wide receiver position. So that is the 2023 final NFL mock draft. Bryce Young, number 1. Will Anderson, number 2. Number 3 to the Titans after a trade, C.J. Stroud. Number 4, Will Levis. 5, Jalen Carter. 6, Devon Witherspoon. 7, Broderick Jones to the Raiders. 8, Bijan Robinson to Atlanta. The Bears at 9, Paris Johnson Jr. Eagles at 10, Tyree Wilson. 11, Cardinals, Miles Murphy. 12 to the Texans, Jackson Smith Njigba. 13, Packers, Dalton Kincaid. 14, Christian Gonzalez to the Patriots. 15, Peter Skoronski to the Jets. Washington at 16 takes Deonte Banks. Steelers at 17, Darnell Wright. Lions at 18, Nolan Smith. Lucas Van Ness goes 19 to Tampa. Anthony Richardson falls all the way to 20, and Seattle picks him up there. 21, Zay Flowers to the Chargers. 22, Joey Porter Jr. to the Ravens. The Vikings at 23 select Jordan Addison. The Jaguars at 24, Brian Branch. The Giants 25, Emmanuel Forbes. Cowboys at 26 select Michael Mayer. Anton Harrison goes 27 to the Bills. Isaiah Foskey 28 to the Bengals. Brian Bresee 29 to the Saints. Keel Ringo 30 to the Eagles. And Quentin Johnston 31 overall pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that is my mock draft, final mock draft of the 2023 draft cycle. Remember, the goal is to get all of them right. But I will definitely take getting 10 out of these 31 picks right. But we'll see what happens tonight. We'll be back tomorrow recapping the first round of the NFL draft. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram in the description of every single episode. We'll see how this goes tonight with the NFL draft, and I will see you guys later.